Similar to many of you, I'm a GSD alum. I graduated in 1995 from the MArch 2 program and in 2000 from the DDes program. The last 9 years I've been teaching at the GSD on and off. This almost decade of studios have addressed some of the interests that came out of my time at the GSD. The notion that there's a continuum between the design disciplines, from landscape to urban design, from architecture to planning. And though I was a GSD architecture graduate, somehow it opened my mind to thinking about the problems of design in a broader way. And the studios I have been teaching have tried to address that. And many of those through the lens of housing. And I will be talking today about the studio I taught last year, fall of 2019, called Beyond the Mayan Train, Housing and Infrastructure in the Yucatan Peninsula. The Mayan Train was a polemic plan announced to be a 1,000-mile-long piece of infrastructure. So it is for us to beg the question about what model of infrastructure do we need? How do we become agents of change? How do we have a sense of social, economic, political agency, but also physical agency? We feel that the road trip is also the first form of research. And during almost the 10 days we spent in the Yucatan Peninsula, we were able to talk with architects, with social activists. So in this almost 1,000-kilometer long road trip, we were able to understand the broader sense of the territory. Each of these groups addressed the question of the Yucatan infrastructure and housing through a different way. The group of Moira, Sam, Juan David, and Rafael actually decided to address a territory which is in the middle of nowhere. Siwen's and Angela's project had to do with the space between three towns along the Uxmal-Petó axis. The team by Brett and Lamia was working in a multiplicity of skills to look at how the train could be used not as an infrastructure itself, but actually as a model of wealth distribution. Jimena and Justin was interested in thinking of how we could use transit-oriented development to connect it to education, and the other one is housing. And finally, the team by Saeb Ali Khan and Cleila, and this relationship between landscape, industry, accompanied town, and social development. I took the liberty to invite two of our former students who took the studio.
This option studio was probably the most stressful, but also one of the spaces where I learned the most at the GSC.
As designers, we sort of had the skill set to deal with the design aspect, but we were also dealing with a very complex political situation.
I think the question of whether we should expand our notion of infrastructure to questions of social, educational, even political infrastructures, ways of leveraging and distributing power in more equitable fashion. That's a very powerful and actually optimistic outcome from the studio, at least from my perspective.